Welcome to Week in Horror.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
The podcast that deep dives all the films you love.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
The week they dropped in horror history.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
With your horror hosts, JL.
When a shirtless Sam Elliott with no mustache takes out an alligator with an oar, that's the kind of movie I'm looking for.
Eugene.
And we're just casually just like, yeah, so that's probably the best way to go, light someone on fire with gasoline.
Alex.
It would not be an original lineup if I didn't have fucking technical difficulty.
Johnny O.
Now, it's not an Amityville, or wherever it's Amityville.
And Aaron.
They got manure to work with and nothing grew from it.
News, trailers, trivia, special guests, and more.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Live show every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central at youtube.com/weekinhorror.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!
And wherever you listen to podcasts.
One by one, we will take you.
Week in Horror. Stay scared. Welcome, horror fans. It is Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Time. That means it's time for another episode of the Week in Horror podcast, the only podcast that should have gotten a zenith. And if you, dear horror fanatic, are listening to us at the top of the week, remember, we do this right here on YouTube live every single Wednesday. So come and hang out with us and see all the crazy stuff that our editor doesn't want you to see. This week, we are covering select horror films released August 27th through September 2nd. Thank you all so much for joining me. I am JL. I thought I was going to have a co-host tonight. We were scheduled for that, but I think something came up. I'm not sure because Eugene is not here. But there, he said sometimes things pop up and he gets really, really busy. So I appreciate everybody hanging out with me tonight while I hold down the fort. But yes, welcome everybody. We're gonna have a kind of interesting episode. It's an interesting episode this week. Some interesting film selections that we're going to talk about. So, and not to mention something that came up in the feed, that I really find interesting. That is a movie trailer. It's a movie trailer that's kind of like right up my alley. It's the things that I really, really love, but also looks it just looks really, really weird. So, but it should be a lot of fun when the movie finally drops. So, I hope all of you are doing fantastic, and thank you so much for being here. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and get up that Patreon banner. There's all those amazing individuals who help to make this show possible. If you'd like to support the show, check out patreon.com/weekinhorror, and we have all kinds of tiers. As a matter of fact, just to give a little bit of a heads up, we are likely going to be making some changes to the Patreon coming in season 5, because as if you've been following the show a long time, you know that we're already pretty much through August, and we're only 3 episodes away from the season finale of season 4. So we've been doing this for 4 straight years, and I'm excited about season 5. But we think that we're at a point right now that we may need to make some changes and probably make it a little bit easier on people if they want to be able to support the show. So, and what we do kind of in addition to the actual show, to actually doing the podcast. So look forward to those when we settle those down. So, but look for some changes. Look forward to some changes coming in season 5. Probably, obviously we have new artwork coming in. We have all kinds of cool stuff. But yeah, should be really, really good. I am excited about it. I'm hard at work putting together a bunch of stuff on the back end and some decisions we're going to make logistically speaking. So should be interesting. We hope that y'all like it. And hopefully it'll streamline things out a bit, considering, we haven't changed. We've changed a bit in the first couple of years when we kind of found our footing. But, we got, 2 years. We've been about 2 years been about doing it the same. We'll add a little thing here and there, like the Terror Tube and stuff like that. So, but yeah, look forward to some interesting stuff coming along. And before we dive in, let me see, who do we have in the live chat? Let's see what we got. Boom, we got Sherry Tilly is here. Sherry Tilly, thank you so much for being here. Also a member of the Army of the Dead. And if you would like to support here on YouTube, because we don't just have Patreon, we have YouTube as well. So come and check out. We have we're putting together interesting emojis. And here's the interesting thing. We're gonna do more emojis as we can get more emojis up for y'all. as soon as we get more members, when we get more members. But we want to make sure that the emojis are visible and are at least decently detailed. And that for what we want to do here is actually kind of challenging because a lot of images, horror images are detail oriented. So trying to make sure that they're the right size and they're not all blurred out and you kind of tell what they are. So we are working on that. So, but you can get our channel, the channel badge, and of course the emojis that we will make for you here. And you can support the show for, I think it's 99 cents a month. It's $1 a month. And it's about as much as, we value it. But yeah. So we have that available as well. So thank you so much, Sherry Tilly, for your support. Travis Brown as well says, evening, y'all. Good to see you, Travis. Thanks so much for being here. Casey Cooper's here. This is well met once again. Thank you so much for being here, Casey. Who's mentioning something about the Vecna Unleashed content, but I'm not sure. That probably has something to do with Stranger Things. Maybe, Vecna. But let me know if I'm wrong. So let me know if I'm wrong about that. And Casey Cooper threw in a membership, a milestone. Chad, he has been a member for 1 month. And thank you so much, Casey. Appreciate the support. Yes, we do still need 60 more subs to get to 1K. We absolutely do. All right. And I see Donnie Does It is here, who's just became a member of the Army of the Dead. Thank you so much, Donnie. Appreciate that. Sarcasm is here. Says bit of advice. Don't fuck with the chick. Check. Don't fuck with the check. Or the chick. It's one of the two. Or chalk. I'm not sure. Let me know. But thank you so much, Sarcasm. Appreciate your support. Denova28 is here. Good to see you, Denova. Thank you so much for being here. It's exceptionally average as well. Thanks so much for being here. Says, my wife and I have been married almost 51 years. Congratulations, exceptionally. That's very awesome. And I see you're talking about a debate, but I'm not sure what debate it is. So just let me know. Fill me in, because I'm uncertain which debate you might be talking about. Sarcasm says, I want to watch the debate as well, but only for the lulz. No doubt it will be for the lulz. Operation Free World, good to see you. Says, howdy. Thank you so much for being here. Travis Brown says, spoiler alert, the debate has already won. No doubt. Charlie Welch, the only man on the internet you never make a bet with. Good to see you, Charlie. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. And let me see. Tony Regime is here as well. Says, hey, everybody. And an obligatory ghost. Appreciate that, Tony. Casey Cooper says, I have to find that movie where the alligator has an oar. Well, the alligator gets beat to death with an oar, which is pretty awesome in and of itself. And the movie is Frogs. So be sure to check that out. Yep, and I am solo tonight. Alfred Blood 832 says, sup. Good to see you, Alfred Blood. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Operation Free World says solo again. Thanks for holding it down, JL. My pleasure, Chief. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight, because y'all make it absolutely worth it. Although, likely, if there was no live chat, if I was just live and there was like nobody here, I'd probably still be doing it exactly the same. So, but I appreciate you hanging out here. Sarcasm says, I'll bet JL's alley is dark and scary. My alley is so dark and so scary. Actually, I missed a joke there. So I should have said my alley is so dark and so hairy. No, but yeah, my alley is dark and scary. Appreciate that sarcasm. NA is here. Thanks so much for the support, bud. Says, hey, everyone, good to see you. And one of our longest running Patreon supporters. So thank you so much, NA. We appreciate that support for making the show possible. Operation Free World has become a new member of the Army of the Dead. Thank you so much, Operation Free World. Do appreciate that. Denova says, hey, JL, I just recently saw Last Voyage of the Demeter. What did you think about it? I have not had an opportunity to see it yet. The nearest theater to me that's playing it is about an hour away, because remember, I'm really, really rural. So, but I plan to see it as soon as I possibly can, because I've heard divided opinions on it. Like the people either really, really dug it or they really, really didn't like it. So I'm not sure, but I have no doubt that I will like it. The production values look insane. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. Absolutely. Plus, come on, classic monster Dracula, Javier Botet, one of the great monsters, one of the great monster portrayers in film, up there with Doug Jones. So yeah, I'm absolutely looking forward to seeing that. If you don't know, if you listening out there don't know who Javier Botet is, you've seen him he was the final gruesome boss zombie in Wreck, and he was Mama in Guillermo del Toro's Mama. So he's done a ton of really, really creepy monsters. He's really, really good at it. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Let me see. Boom, 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 boom. No, there will be no nudes. No, absolutely not. Oh, Sir Cap says, I just want some turd polisher merch. There may be something coming up. I can't spoil it. I can't spoil everything, but there may be some things coming up. Gosh of Heckfire is here. Good to see you, Gosh of Heckfire. Good evening, you beautiful people. Thanks so much for being here, Gosh. Do appreciate that. And let me see. Charlie Welch, who has been a member for a month, a member of the Army of the Dead for a month. Thank you so much, Charlie Welch. Do appreciate that. Plothole has popped by. Says drive by hello, taking a break to pardon me. Says taking a break to handle some personal things. Miss all of you awesome people. We miss you, dude, and I hope you get back soon. I hope everything smooths out well. And of course, let us know if you need anything, okay, bud? Because we are here and you are over there, but we can't be over there to help you with what you need. Then we can come back over here. So just let us know, bud. Appreciate that. Rodent no last name is here. Gabba Gabba to you, sir. It says late. That's okay, bud. We appreciate it. Actually, I'm just doing the opening stuff, so we're all good. Casey Cooper said Vecna Unleashed is the newest content for I'm assuming D&D. Gotcha. Okay, so they did some stuff, and I guess inspired by the villain, and they brought it over to D&D because it is a D&D inspired bad guy. So very cool. So they've added content to that. Very cool. Or DDO. I see. Dungeons and Dragons Online. Very cool. Let me see. Genova28 says he enjoyed the strumming, so I don't think it was punishment. No, strumming was not a punishment. It wasn't. In fact, it didn't even affect me that badly. I don't know what it is. Anyway. Oh, the bloodbath debate. So, yes, the bloodbath debate goes. Yeah, we have the bloodbath debate coming up this weekend, which will be on the 27th. And we'll be sending out the invites to all of the Patreon members, all the Patreon supporters who have access to that. And to come in to be special guest judges. But of course, it's going to be me versus Alex, and it's Ghostface versus Babyface. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Because you never know how these things are going to turn out. Alex may watch those films and come up with something that completely upends me. But yeah, because it's never a toss-up. I have in the past gone into the bloodbath debate, thinking I've got it in the bag, and have wound up being surprised by something, or the judges are swayed by a particular argument. So it's dicey. You never know who's going to turn out. You can honestly think you can say Ghostface, Babyface, Scream versus Happy Death Day. You think that Ghostface would take that, but it's not guaranteed. And that's what's beautiful about the debates is that, it comes down to what our judges think and the arguments that we make. So if I don't argue well enough, that's my ass, and Babyface will hand it to me, and Alex will take the crown. Because right now, the way I'm looking at it, and this is kind of a challenge to Alex, even though I don't know if he'll hear this, but yeah, if I take Alex, if I beat Alex, I have run the entire crew. So I will have swept the entire crew, and then we're back to the start. So then I'm going to try and sweep them again. So yes, but yeah, boom, I've swept the entire crew with this one. So I'm really, really excited. But then again, there may be a change coming to the bloodbath debates in the future for season 5. Like I said, it's one of those things that we're looking at. So because we've done 45 bloodbath debates, this will be the 45th bloodbath debate, which is crazy. And there may be some other icons out there we can put together. But yeah, 45 bloodbath debates. And if I win this one, then I will have swept. I will sweep the crew going into the end of season 5, which I'm really, really excited about. We'll see. We'll see when I make the arguments, and we'll see what our special guest judges have. And those invites will go out this upcoming Sunday. Let me see. Sir Cab says it's the Chuck, one of the best Durafilm. Oh yeah, don't fuck with the Chuck. Gotcha. Okay. Let me see here. Who else we have in the chat? Who else we got here? Oh, Zed Rodnell's name says, no nudes, unsubscribe. Please trust me, dude. You don't want to see him. Mr. Malord, good to see you all over from Chicago. Says, oh, Mr. Malord, alter ego. Fantastic. Good to see you, bud. Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. It's been a minute. I'm glad you're here. Angel Rivera, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Says, what up, everybody? Thank you so much for being here, Angel. And Denova20 says, I'm surprised you haven't by now, JL. I haven't swept. I think I've swept the crew like early on because we started doing the bloodbath debates back in season 1. When bloodbath number 1, which was Jason versus Michael, and that coincided with our interview with Matthew Mark Hunter, with director Matthew Mark Hunter. So I remember I did that one, and I think I swept the crew like 1 or 2 times. But I would like to do it now that everybody knows. Now we're all seasoned. We're all seasoned debaters when it comes to these things. And Alex puts up a fucking good fight. He really does. Alex really knows how to research his stuff and put in a really solid, persuasive argument. So I'm looking forward to it. I really am. Oh, good to see you. So I think I've got everybody. I don't think I missed anyone. I don't think I did. And if I saw Gosh of Heckfire, and if Gavlar the Hand of Zod pops in, because those two are 2 amazing names, I don't want to miss out. I don't want to miss them like I missed them last week. So I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you all so very, very, very much. Okay. So, the very first thing that we're going to talk about tonight, which I'm kind of excited about, and I wish I wish Eugene was here because I want him to see this very weird trailer. This very, very weird trailer. So, but I want to show it to all of you. So let me make sure I've got this up and we got the Terror Tube queued up. So this came across the feed and I wanted to share with all of you because you might not have seen it. Because I know not everybody is in the Discord, not everybody sees the news things that pop in. So, but I saw this trailer and it is for a Greek horror comedy film called, and if I'm pronouncing this correctly, Minori. Not Midori, Mr. Malort. Not Midori, Minori. So let's check out this trailer for the Greek horror comedy film. Actually, I messed that up. The Greek Lovecraftian horror comedy film, Minori. I love the Terror Tube.
I've had some crazy dreams lately, With monsters coming out of the water. With amorphous creatures stepping out of mists. With things that should neither walk in this world or in the world of dreams. And sometimes I wake up screaming because I caught myself dreaming. And in my dream, I know that it is out there waiting. It is coming for us all.
Yes, that was the trailer for Minori, if I am pronouncing that correctly, which I think I am. But the newest one from Raven's Banner, which I love as a production company. They do some fantastic stuff. But yes, when mysterious creatures invade a Greek seaside port, a misfit band of musicians, tourists, bodybuilders, and grannies unite to save the city in this quirky action comedy. It is directed by Konstantinos Koutsoulotis. And I'm really, really looking forward to this one because you don't get Greek Lovecraftian horror film that doesn't come down the pipe, all that often. So I'm seriously looking forward to watching that when it comes out. Very, 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 very curious about how they're going to do that because it's got, it feels to me like it's got like the Greek version of almost Shaun of the Dead and a little bit of the Void. So it's like the Greek version of Shaun of the Dead meets the Void. And I'm very, very curious about that. I'm sitting about 70-30 on it because I don't know, but it looks splatterific and should be a lot of fun. So seriously looking forward to that. I think that is set for, I don't think there's a release date set on that one yet. I do not know. But as soon as it does, I guarantee I'll watch it, and likely I'll try to show it in the Discord as well. This should be a lot of fun. And I see we got some new people here. Joshua Lee, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for being here tonight. And Dagon Cthulhu, maybe. It's definitely something Lovecraftian. Absolutely. Yes, I love those Lovecraft flicks. I absolutely do. And Claire View, good to see you, Claire View. Thanks so much for being here. It says hello. Always good to see you, Claire. It says listening. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Claire. Appreciate that. And I think that was it. Yep, that was it. It is Monoriri? I don't think it's Monoriri. Manuri. Is it Manuri? Is that what you're saying? Because you said Manuri. That's it. Is that right? That sounds weird. Maybe because it's a Greek word. I'm not 100% sure. But yes, yeah. Not 100% sure. Oh, it looks like we had somebody gift some messages. Or sorry, gift some messages. What the hell am I talking about? I'm sitting here like trying to look at my phone at the same damn time. had gift some memberships, not messages. That was silly. Let me see here. Yes, NANA gifted a Week in Horror membership. Thank you so much, NANA. And yes, that went to Out for Blood. So welcome. Well, oh, was there more than one gifted 1 Week in Horror membership? And I see Nikki Marie was gifted one as well. And I see, yes, and Tesla Radio as well. And Out for Blood, 832. Excellent. Thank you so much for those gifted memberships. NANA, you rock. And of course, Raven Darkstar as well is now a member of the, and Peter Noddle. Look at all of those. Thank you so much, NANA. Very, very generous of you. You rock. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 Week in Horror memberships. Skooma Cat, welcome to the Army of the Dead. So thank you very much, bud. You rock, man. Thank you. Very generous of you. We do appreciate that. I got to make sure I have that up because... Oh, and another one. Thank you so much, NANA. You rule. Very generous of you, bud. Appreciate that. And I'm sure that those new members of the Army of the Dead will appreciate that as well. And that was Robert Spawn is now a member of the Army of the Dead. So yes, absolutely. Oh yes, you got those tentacles up. Dagon, I enjoyed. I enjoyed Dagon. I really did. Because some people didn't, but I really love Dagon because I'm a huge Stuart Gordon fan. I'm a big Brian Yuzna fan. And I enjoyed Gordon's take on Lovecraft, like obviously Reanimator and a number of the other films that he did. So I liked Gordon's take on Lovecraft. I love what he brought to the genre. And I love whenever he played in the mythos, he always tried to do something really, really interesting. Plus, he never shied away from like gooey, nasty, grotesque horror, like people getting their faces skinned off and shit. Obviously the stuff in Reanimator, which get a job in a sideshow. But yeah, I absolutely love it. So I'm looking forward to Mortuary. I'm hoping pronouncing that right. So thank you very, very much. I hope you. Well, more on that when we get to it. All right, so let's see what we've got for the selections tonight. The very first film that we are going to talk about. It's such an interesting selection that we have. Apart from one of them, 3 of them were very, very atmospheric, kind of moody films. Very, very brooding with some high energy frenetic moments. Except for one of them. One of them was pretty much just like out the gate, just hardcore. But really, really good. Like 3 slashers and one genre bender, one undead genre bender. But I'm looking forward to talking about these tonight. Oh, and holy shit balls. Holy forking shirt balls. It's Ann the Jord said, who hasn't been here in a minute. Good to see you, Jord. Thank you so much for being here tonight. You rock. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for hanging out, man. Missed you as well. This is missed you, sexy party people. We missed you. Thank you so much for being here, bud. Oh, yes. Travis Brown says admitted it was the hotness of Macarena Gomez that we watched Dagon for. Yeah, I would agree. Yes, very much so. Ooh. She was nice. She was nice to look. Even with tentacle legs, she was nice to look at. Even with the tentacle legs. Oh, thank you so much, NANA, who gifted memberships out and to Glober Mom as well as Gosh of Heckfire. Awesome. You rule. And West Side Girl Reacts. So many people are going to be surprised when they pop in to an episode and they see that they're a channel member. So I appreciate that, NANA. You rule, dude. Thank you very, very much. All of the channel memberships and, of course, all of these super chats and all of the super thanks, they go to help us do all the stuff we have going on. They go to help us make the show, and, of course, all the stuff we have going on behind the scenes, like all the production stuff we have. So, big news come about that as well. Oh, I can't spoil it. So many cool things. And Dickbag Patrol, as well, is now a member of the Army of the Dead. Thank you so much, NANA. You rock. Made me want to do the Macarena. Yes, she did, Denova. Yes, she did. She absolutely did. All right, let's jump into tonight's selections. Okay, very first film we've got up tonight. Released August 27th, 1982. And we have The Incubus. Ooh, let's check out this trailer. Cue up the terror tube.
Galen Village. Tranquil.
I love the way that trailer opens.
Quiet. A nice place to live. But something has gone wrong.
Look at the bruises on the kid's neck. One hell of a large hand.
His spine was crushed like a piece of balsa wood.
When the sun goes down, something stalks the streets of Galen Village.
Joe wants to call the Attorney General, have him send in some help. What do you think I should do?
Take whatever help you can get.
30 years ago in Galen, these same types of murders occurred.
I think my past has something to do with these murders.
No, Tim, listen.
Something silent. Something lethal. Something.
That was a nice kill.
Or someone is killing the people of Galen.
I think I'm going crazy.
Every time he has this dream, somebody dies.
You're talking about actual materialization.
What kind of a quack are you? The boy's in the clear. He's not in the clear. Every time this kid has a dream, somebody in this town dies.
It is real. It is alive. It is among us. The Incubus.
Yes, that was the trailer for The Incubus. And let me see here. So, The Incubus, or Incubus, was a Canadian supernatural slasher film. It was directed by John Huff, who you may remember directed Twins of Evil, Legend of Hell House, and American Gothic. And it was a screenplay by George Franklin, and of course, starring the legendary John Cassavetes, John Ireland, Carrie Keene, the very beautiful Carrie Keene, Aaron Noble, Helen Hughes, Duncan McIntosh, and Harvey Atkin. So yes, the film ostensibly follows the people of a very, very tiny town in rural Wisconsin called Galen, where there is suddenly a rash of brutal rapes and murders, and the men are being killed and the women are being brutally attacked, and it turns into like murders as well. So and as the police desperately try to figure out what's going on. And who this brutal killer is, it turns out it may be something more than human, with some interesting psychic ties to a local boy who has long-standing family ties to the community. So this was an intriguing film. So at first glance, when you're first watching the Incubus, it's a savage. This is definitely a savage little 80s slasher. And one thing I've always really enjoyed about Canadian slasher films, very similar to, I hate it when the name escapes me, fucking My Bloody Valentine and films like that, is, like we've stated before on the show, Canadian horror films really always tried to push the envelope and do something a little bit different. They always tried to bring something more to the table than American slasher films did in the 80s. In America, there was obviously a formula that worked, a formula that made money. But Canadian films always try to bring something a little new, something a little different. They try to innovate, I think, a little bit more instead of just one-upping each other in America. Because in America, it was like, well, if you've got like 10 bodies, then why not just 20 bodies? Well, I would say the influence of Canadian slasher films really attempted to change the game and make it more interesting for the audience instead of just trying to one-up their contemporaries. So, and that's what I thoroughly enjoy about Canadian horror films, especially Canadian horror films in the 80s. And this one is no different. It is particularly a savage film, especially when it comes down to the sexual violence. Almost to the extent of feeling misogynistic in its portrayal. There was a savageness to it that I found both. It kind of like breaks away from the norm, because you would, when you in a typical slash film, everybody's fair game. But in this one, with the screams and the way the film was shot, and of course the violence that was going on with the destruction of environments, and women getting brutalized all over the place. Not to mention the after effects with all the blood coming out through the blood pouring out from their legs, and how how gross the kills were. There was definitely I would say, an almost Cronenbergian feel, Cronenberg being Canadian as well, a very Cronenberg kind of influence going into this, in portraying this level of sexual sadism on screen, which of course makes the audience uncomfortable, and then of course wonder, like, how can our heroes prevail over the seemingly unstoppable, brutal killer, which I really thoroughly enjoyed. It serves the plot. It's not there. That's what I really dug, is that in the Incubus, the brutal violence actually serves the plot very, very well, instead of just being there for shock value, which I really appreciate. As long as everything serves the plot, That's what's really, really important to me. And that's what I thoroughly took away from this one. Not to mention, despite the fact that some of the acting in it, not that great, some of the line delivery, not fantastic. There was just a lot of weird characterizations that didn't make sense going, that, and it was because of two things. One, because of who the killer actually is, because the killer is a shapeshifter. There's a monster, but it can take human form. So it's who the character is, like who the monster is, and leads to some weird characterizations that take place during the film, which are odd. But that's also kind of thrown off by the fact that Huff puts so many, there are so many red herrings in the film. I mean, the one thing that got me, the one thing I found to be rather distracting was Cassavetes, because Cassavetes plays the role in one of two modes. He either plays it like super creepy dour, like like constantly with his head down and looking up at the camera to give him that kind of like, and with his angular features, kind of like he's like, he looks like creepy guy who knows more than what's going on. And then between like soft and vulnerable, and he just shifts between these two deals, which is really kind of jarring. But then again, everybody has these moments where everything's kind of like stop start characterizations, which throws everything off, because you're kind of like, well, who's the bad guy? And you're like, there's a red herring here, but there's red herrings all over the place. You never really know who it is until the very, very end, when, at least for me, it's because it's all thrown off until that very like the last 5 minutes, maybe even less, like last 4 minutes, when all of a sudden they like one of the hero, Tim, gets a vision, and then he knows who the killer is. Then they run up, and then Tim dies, and then the film ends. So, plus it ends on a bad note, because it doesn't really end ambiguously. The dad, like Cassavetes has got the dagger, and his daughter's dead. She's laid on the bed. And of course, we know who the killer is as well. So, even though he knows because he saw it, but yeah, it was a big issue with putting quantity before quality, because the story in itself is essentially just a monster that's like killing and raping murdering and raping the local townsfolk. And then who is the monster? How do we get to it? But there were so many plot threads that were not really explored that I think could have been to make a movie like this with this kind of like savage brutality a little bit deeper. So, and in a sense, I get the feeling that the film doesn't really know what it wants to be, or it has kind of an idea, but it doesn't know how to pull it off, because we've got the psychic threads, the psychic connection between Tim and the monster, and like what's going on, the violence that's going on. We have Tim's family history from the Galens, because the Galens are the ones who founded the town, and apparently the Galens were witch hunters. And so there's all this backstory history there that's never dived into. We just accept it. They just feed it to us in exposition, and then we just like, oh, okay. So that's why he's having the dreams, because his ancestral connection to the founders of the town gives him as a witch hunter, gives him this kind of preternatural sense of when evil is about, which is that should have been explored, at least that part, and the relationship between him and this particular monster, because they were witch hunters, not really supernatural hunters. Or maybe they were, but we never know, because they never go into it. So, because now we're hunting like a legitimate monster that's come into town and is like, decimating the populace. And this guy who's having dreams about it, and there's a connection there, but we never get to explore it. It's put more in favor of the violence in and of itself, and the relationship of the relationship of Cassavetes with his, with John Cassavetes and his daughter. So, which even then, that relationship is a little on the creepy side, because there's, I guess it was the 80s, but like there's some creepy stuff that's all over the place, and some weird, very, very nebulous ambiguities when it comes to like what people's intentions are when it comes to, except for like, I would say the cops and the AG and the, the medical examiner, but all the primary characters, they're kind of all over the place, especially Tim, because Tim, even though he's set up throughout the film to be this big, to be like the hero, in the end, he winds up just being the plot jeep. Like literally, he was just a way for Cassavetes' character, for the dad, for Sam, to put the pieces together. That's all he turns out. So he's a plot jeep, which is like, well, that's kind of a letdown, because we didn't get to see more from that. We don't really get to see Sam really, we don't see Cassavetes really explore that character and bring some depth to it. And so that was kind of that was weird. So I both dug the film and kind of like didn't. I will give it this: there was some absolutely beautiful cinematography in this. And if you've seen movies like Twin Evils, if you've seen American Gothic, Huff knows how to set a scene. There was some brilliant stuff in here that you could definitely say inspired things that we know. Like, for example, there's an entire sequence where the killer has gone into a farmhouse and he's looking after the whole sequence where he kills the dad with the shovel and he blows his fucking foot off. Or sorry, the dad blows his own foot off. That was just really well done. The shovel in the neck was just brilliant. But there's a sequence when the killer has gone into the farmhouse and you've got like the two daughters. One is in the shower and one is in a wheelchair in the living room. And so the killer goes in and there's it's all POV where the killer's moving through the house and there's this loud rock music playing from upstairs, or playing from one of the other rooms where the girl is taking a shower. So there's this blaring rock music, and then the killer POVing through the house sees the girl in the wheelchair, turns around, goes through the kitchen, makes his way through the house, making his way towards the girl in the shower. And definitely you could say that Jonathan Demme took some inspiration from that for Silence of the Lambs. It felt absolutely like Buffalo Bill moving through the basement, the POV of moving through the basement. Or as Clarice was hunting Buffalo Bill. That POV through the basement going in each one, that absolutely felt inspired. So I think Demme took inspiration from that because it was a beautifully shot sequence. And then really, really cool, interesting shots. Like a wonderful use of Dutch angles at appropriate moments, because sometimes people overuse them. Just be like, Dutch angle. But they can be really, really telling for a character so that you don't have to waste that time. Like show, don't tell. You don't have to waste it on exposition. So some wonderful use of Dutch angles in some particularly good tense moments. And of course, one shot that I loved was when the girl in the shower gets killed. Her sister hears her scream and she goes up and the bathroom door is locked. And she rolls up to the door, and Demme shoots the shot. She's banging on the door for her sister to let her in, but he shoots it from the ground looking into the bathroom. So the door is closed, but you see under the door and you can see her body under there while she's like banging on the door. So you get, both sets of information. So the tension, her banging on the door, but the body's under there, and then the blood starts coming out from under the door. It's a really, really very smart and very, very, I would say, very inspired cinematography in this, which I really enjoyed. That really elevated the film's production value. So it's shot well, and of course, Carrie Keane is always absolutely lovely. She played ostensibly. I mean, if you haven't seen it, this film is pretty old, but Carrie Keane is who the villain is, but people would know her from like Steel in the Moment and Distant Thunder. But yeah, absolutely, a stunning actress and very, very talented. So really, really thoroughly enjoyed this one. There were some things that were kind of detracting, especially the whole like 80s music video sequence, which I thought was really fucking weird because we segue from a tense moment immediately into this almost a scene that feels like it almost inspired Split Second. The sequence in the bar where Rutger Hauer finds the body in the bathroom. It feels very much like that, but it looks like an 80s fucking like music video is being shot. And although I think it's supposed to be a concert, but it looks more like performance art. It's a very, very small venue, and you've got like the light with the fog and everything. It's just, it comes out of nowhere and it's just kind of like, whoa, okay, what the fuck am I watching? And it's like juxtaposes that sequence of like these people staring like, they're hypnotized at this, performance art 80s, metal music video, to the brutal violence going on in the bathroom when one of the attendees goes to the restroom and winds up getting killed by the monster. So it's really, really intriguing. Some interesting stuff done here and there, both cinematographically speaking and from a narrative perspective. I like what Huff brought to it, and he was brought some really, really smart decisions. And there was some other stuff that I thought was kind of not really. So Josh Lee says, by the way, did we ever find out the reasons behind the killings? And that was, from what I understand, is because the Incubus is intent on breeding with someone, but by virtue of its nature, it can't do that. So it can't, but it will continue trying. So it's a monster that tries to find a suitable woman to impregnate, but it can't do it for some reason, or they just never say why it can't. They just say that that's what it does, and it's looking to breed. And then there was a whole and of course this was the 80s, 1983, so there was a whole Satanism angle as well. So you've got like witchcraft, You got Satanism. You got psychic links. You got this Incubus monster that kind of like, no explanation for what it is or where it comes from, just that it's a monster that lives. And then you've got, what was it? And then you've got like the hard-boiled detective style. And then, it's all over the place. It doesn't really know what it wants to be, but it finds its footing about halfway through. And I think with the capable direction of Huff, we get a really decent little Canadian slasher film that I think may have fallen through the cracks for some. I think it may, with the deluge of everything else that was coming out, then I think this one kind of like slipped under the cracks, but it's definitely worth a look. Similar to films like, Happy Birthday to Me, and of course, there was we talked about it here on the show. I cannot believe I'm forgetting it, but it was about the girls in the house that was actually haunted. Had the killer, it was like a ghost, and it had like the diving suit with the trident killer. I'll remember it eventually. But yeah, it's very, very intriguing. It blows out her lady bitch with a massive gasm. It's pretty savage, except for the first one. The first one was like dry, like, with an item. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. I have no idea. But yeah, there's some, and they said sperm a lot. Like there's like a lot, more than you would expect. Like there's like constant references back to this. Like this is really, really important. But yeah, must proliferate the species. Absolutely. Oh yeah, but I would say a very, very intriguing one, and plenty of plenty of TNA in this one. It takes a little while to get there, but we do eventually get it. Yeah, plenty of TNA in this one. But yeah, I would say it has its missteps, but overall is a solid little production with, I think, a good that's what saves this one is the quality of direction. It's the quality of direction and the quality of the cinematography. It's well shot, well inspired. In some areas it's decently acted, some areas the lines just don't make any fucking sense. But I can understand, once you see the film, you understand why that is. It was just a very, very clunky way to hide who the killer is and to red herring it to keep the audience guessing. It was just handled very clunkily, and that I blame that on the script itself. So, but the one big thing about this one is that the film has a bad ending. Obviously, it's a bad ending. The hero, dies. The daughter gets killed, like her body's on the bed, and the hero's there. He's got the dagger, and he knows who the monster is. He's like, oh, and it zooms in on its eye, and it's like, we get the bad ending. The hero died, the daughter's dead, nobody saved anybody, and the killer looks like they're probably going to get away with it. So, yes, and likely as strong and as nasty as this monster is, probably he may not be getting out of that alive. So, bad ending. But bad endings are not uncommon in horror films. You either get ambiguous endings, sometimes you can get a good ending, but usually you get ambiguous or you get the bad ending. So much like a Silent Hill game, you get there's so many different endings, but you usually get the bad ones or the not so good ones. Nothing ever turns out quite, awesome. So, but my curiosity is, what do you all think is the best bad ending in horror? What horror film had the best bad ending? One that either shocked you, that shocked the absolute hell out of you, or came completely out of left field, or was totally expected. You knew they weren't going to make it out of it. So let me know down in the comments below or at weekinhorror@gmail.com. What do you think is the best bad ending in a horror film? Definitely love to hear what y'all think. Andrew Rivera said The Ninth Gate. Fuck that movie. Oh, grr. I love Ninth Gate up until the last 5 minutes, and the last 5 minutes fucking ruined that movie for me. Oh, damn you. Oh, but Ninth Gate, such a good fucking movie to be wasted in the last 5 minutes. Oh, that pissed me off. Case Cooper says, Count Yorga, everyone dies. Agreed. And everyone dies ending is totally possible. Absolutely. Charlie Welch says, The Mist to bridge the divide. That was hilarious. That wasn't hilarious. I wanted to eat a bullet after that. Thomas Jane. Oh, come on, bud. What are you doing? Go out strong. Paracord Princess said, Burnt Offerings. Ooh, excellent. Excellent one. Sarcasm brought up The Mist as well. That was a pretty bad ending. Poltergeist 3 didn't have a bad ending. Wait, that's weird. Poltergeist 3 had a good ending. This I remember correctly. See, the first one, they get Carol Ann back. Second one, they use the shaman to banish the evil away. Third one, she gets almost taken over, then she gets brought back again. Yeah, that one worked. Joshua Lee said Terrifier. I would say Terrifier definitely a bad ending. Definitely a bad ending. Sir Cab says, but there were no bullets left to eat. Hey, this is true. You know, in the mist, there were no bullets left to eat. There absolutely weren't. Denova28 said, The Happening. What? No. Fucking Mark Wahlberg. He fucking kills me. Tony Regime says, Race with the Devil when the fire sprang up around the camper van. Ooh, nice. Nice. Paracord Princess, Wicker Man, old and new. This is true. It did end badly for him. It did end badly. That's what happens when you fuck with cults. When you go to like isolated places and you fuck with cults. Look at that. Apostle. You know? Shame. Rodnell last name said Cabin in the Woods. A good one. Good one. Because the old gods rise, they destroy everything, you know? Absolutely. No, did not know what happened to Carol Ann and her cousins. No, did not know what happened to Carol Ann and her cousins. So everybody comes out okay in Poltergeist 3. At the end of Poltergeist 3, everyone turns out, everyone comes, you know, there was the aunt and the uncle, which was Joe Beth Williams. Was it Joe Beth Williams? No, I'm sorry. No, it was oh, what the hell was his name? Oh, what the hell? He was in Top Gun. He was in Picket Fences. He was in Contact. I'm losing my mind. Why can't I remember him? He was the uncle, and then his wife, who actually I think may have been may have been the chick from RoboCop. But anyway, but yeah, it was them, and then her cousin played by Laura Flynn Boyle, and the cousin's boyfriend. Yeah, so no, it was a good ending. That was a good ending. It was a good ending. Ooh, Paracord Princess brought up 7. Yes, and Ronella Sam said 7. Absolutely, 7 was definitely a down ending. That was definitely a bad ending. Babadook, I don't know. I think Babadook was as good. Well, okay, I think that was a good ending because given that the movie is the theme of the film was about grief, I think that was about how what the ending of that symbolized that you can never get rid of your grief, but you can learn to live with it, and you can learn to balance it and keep it under control, which is what that is about, which is what that ending symbolizes. So I actually think that's a good ending, in my personal opinion. Alfred Blood says the ending to Run Rabbit Run was pretty bad in a good way. Awesome. Hey, Insane Angel is here. Says, hey, my favorite people. Good to see you, Insane Angel. Thanks so much for being here. We do appreciate it. And Sir Kev's, what's in the box? Absolutely. All of the Paranormal Activity endings. Agreed. Friday the 13th, Part 5. Thank you, Joshua Lee. Absolutely. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, 1970s. Yeah, it was all over then. It was absolutely all over. But definitely let us know what you out there listening to this when it goes live on Sunday, what you think is the best bad ending in a horror film. Definitely want to hear what y'all think. And I see we got a couple of new ones. Claire View became a new member of the Army of the Dead. Thank you so much, Claire View. Joshua Lee has been a member for 1 month of the Army of the Dead. Thank you so much for your support, Josh. And of course, Charlie Welch, member for 1 month as well. Appreciate that. You guys rock. Not to mention all of the amazing gifted memberships. Thank you, Anna. We do appreciate that. All right, but that was the Incubus. Let's move on to our next one, which is a little bit of a difference. It's a slasher, but let's move on to our next one. And this film released August 30th, 1991, and we have Child's Play 3. Let's check out this trailer. Oh, yes, we're going to know the name. MTV Movie Awards, when William Shatner was in all 3 roles. That was legendary. It's like, turn left here. I give the commands of this vessel. Helm, hard to port. I fucking love that sequence. It's like, what? It's like, don't you know? I'm the host of the hit series, Rescue 911. I thought that was Robert Stack. Robert Stack, are you insane? I fucking love it. Yes, I committed most of it to memory. Listen to him sing. I fucking love that. You can find that on YouTube, by the way. Extra J, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Definitely. All right, let's check out the trailer for Child's Play 3. Cue up that terror tube.
Left, right, left.
Welcome to Hell on Earth.
You are without a doubt the most pathetic thing I have ever seen.
Strict discipline.
Does this look like a gun to you, Barkley? It's a rifle.
Next. Rigid dress codes.
Presto. You're a
bomb. Robinson.
Get those weapons in the air. I want to see them high.
And grueling drills. It couldn't possibly get any worse.
Wrong again, wimp.
Chucky's back. A few years have passed.
No, you're dead. We killed you.
I'm new and improved.
At Kent, we take bedwetters and turn them into men.
Andy, how you've grown.
And this time,
I really gotta get out of this body.
he's looking for a new recruit.
I got some fresh meat lined up, and I'm not gonna let you spoil it.
Now,
just think, Chucky's gonna be a bro.
Child's Play 3. Look who's stalking.
A haircut ain't regulation, soldier.
Regulate this.
All right, that was the trailer for Child's Play 3, the third installment in the Child's Play franchise. And let's say, directed by Jack Bender, written by the legendary Don Mancini, who's pretty much been in charge of the Child's Play franchise from the start, and who created all the characters, and starring Justin Whalen as Andy Barkley, and of course Perry Reeves, Andrew, the legendary Andrew Robinson, Brad Dourif again as the voice of Chucky, and Peter Haskell, Dakin Matthews, Burke Burns, and Matthew Walker. So the film follows, obviously, Chucky trying to find Andy, and so he can transfer his soul out of the good guy doll and back into a human body, and eventually tracks Andy down to a military boarding school because he has basically been tossed out of every foster home he's ever been to after the events of Child's Play 2. He is now 16 years old, and at this place where then Chucky eventually shows up and then eventually reveals himself to the young Tyler, and then a battle over him trying to take over Tyler's body ensues, where Andy finally gets his revenge. But yeah, it's a intriguing film. So the difficulty in this, and this is interesting because originally it was supposed to be Justin Whalen. Justin Whalen was not first considered for the role of Andy Barkley. Originally, it was supposed to be Jonathan Brandis. Because Mancini wanted Brandis for the role of Andy Barkley, but unfortunately, but he had other stuff going on. Really, was a top-notch actor at the time. But yeah, that would have been intriguing if he'd been in it. But anyway, this film, 8 years after the events of the second film, and technically 1 month before the events of Bride of Chucky. What can we? I mean, it's difficult to. There's only this was my opinion. I will give it this: the film itself is not terrible. Not in that. There's a lot of really excellent moments and a lot of fantastic character actors. Individuals like Andrew Robinson, he really brings the goods, and of course, Brad Dourif is on point. Justin Whalen, dang, I keep hitting my mic. Justin Whalen is definitely serviceable in the role. Unfortunately, I don't think he brought a lot to it. I think it's just a difference in I would think tactics as far as an actor goes. I think Brandis would have brought more of a traumatized nuance to it than Justin was capable of. Maybe that's just me, because Jonathan Brandis was always capable, I think, of digging a little bit deeper than most of his contemporaries, like very River Phoenix at the time. And I hate bringing it up because we sadly lost both of them to suicide, unfortunately, as well as like Brad Renfro. So, the ability to dig deep and go to places that I would say belied their years. And so I think he would have been more solid in the role, but unfortunately, I think he was busy doing another film at the time, or he wasn't available. But I think Justin Whalen, he did decently, but he was surrounded by a number of actors who did extraordinarily well. I think brought everything to it. Perry Reeves was fantastic in the role of Kristen De Silva. And then you had Peter Haskell and, like you said, Andrew Robinson and Dakin Matthews, who did all really, really fantastic. So Andrew Robinson's fantastic in DS9 as legendary actor. And of course, in Hellraiser, I don't want to bring DS9, he was Garrick, but of course, Hellraiser, he was Frank. But yeah, there was only so much that could really be done there's only so far you can go in the Child's Play franchise before you eventually start moving into the kind of campy hackneyed stuff, which is where it went 7 years later when Bride of Chucky came out. It went full camp. Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, That was pretty much the only place you could go. Because when it comes down to it, you've got one element. You've got the conflict between the doll and, Andy. That was the whole point. He first revealed himself to Andy. He asked transfer soul to Andy. But since he was remade, because the rules kind of shift and are very, very nebulous, because he was remade after the events of Child's Play 2, he gets to, choose Tyler to reveal. He revealed himself to Tyler, and so he could choose Tyler to be the new body. So, but there's only so far you can take that. Now, I thought, in my opinion, Child's Play 2 was as good as the first film, because even though it suffered from sequelitis, bigger, more violence, more death, more bloodshed, everything had to be up, but it took the film to, I think, what I felt to be a natural conclusion. Give it the ambiguous ending where the plastic, gets reformed and then it smiles at the end, but there's only so far you can take that. This constant battle because eventually Andy's going to grow up. He's going to become an adult. And then it just becomes, it kind of loses its steam after that. And this is where we were going. This is why they bring in the Tyler angle so we can, try to get into another kid. Or he can try to take over the body of another kid. Now, I get the feeling very much that Child's Play 3 was an attempt to kind of force it, that Mancini was pushing this a little bit beyond what he possibly could do, or it felt like he was losing steam, because you can only keep throwing him into stuff, like throwing this doll into stuff and try to manufacture this drama between the doll and Andy, which is essentially what is going on here. And then you have in the whole military, the military sequence, and then implausible things like changing out all the all the weaponry to get the big mass killing scene in when they're all doing the paint shooting scene. But there's fantastic moments like he reveals himself to the colonel, and the colonel has a heart attack and dies. Just he's like, holy shit, it's alive, and then he dies. And then of course the Andrew Roberts sequence when he goes to shave off his hair, and then he winds up killing him. So there's good moments throughout, and of course Brad Dourif elevates the whole thing. But the thing that gets me throughout this fucking franchise is that while it is thin on plot, because there's obviously not a lot to go there. It's thin on plot. And if you go into Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, things didn't really start picking back up until Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky. And then, of course, the Chucky series that's on Sci-Fi right now, which actually is pretty damn good if you haven't checked it out. But things were getting really thin on plot. But the thing that always keeps me coming back, and I think keeps a vast majority of people coming back, is the fucking doll. Because there has always been the utmost care in ensuring that the doll is both innocent looking as its innocent guise, where it's just the doll, to, conveying Chucky itself when it's alive. The facial articulations, the way the mouth is articulated in order to match Brad Dourif's, because they always pre-record Brad Dourif and then they animate the doll to match Brad Dourif's mouth instead of him trying to do the flap. And so the care that is taken in portraying this doll, and it gets better every single film. Every single film gets a little bit better. And in Curse of Chucky, it was fantastic because they incorporated the damage elements from the previous two films. The damage that was incurred after the ends of Child's Play 3. So there's a continuity with the doll that is fantastic, and they always do really, really good. I thought 2 was fantastic. 2 had some amazing moments. Like when he goes to kill the teacher and he bursts out of the closet and he's got the freaking the yardstick. There were some good moments there. And of course, when he kills the foster dad, how's it hanging, Chuck? The way the animatronics done, the puppetry done on the doll itself has always been so outstanding, and that is portrayed even better here, which just blows my mind. That's where the care and the love is going in ensuring that this ensuring that this franchise has legs. And I think that's what has always given it legs, is that it's obviously Brad Dourif's voice, his vocal talents, and all of the money that they pour into making sure this fucking doll is as terrifying as possible and as lifelike as possible. How's it hanging? Yeah, that's right. How's it hanging, Phil? When he catches him by the ankle. Such a wonderful moment. It's like, but yeah, that's the thing that got me about this one. Despite, even then, 3 felt kind of like a rehash of 2. Even the ending, because in the ending, they go into the carnival. They go into the amusement park, and that's where eventually he gets dropped into the big-ass fan and gets dismembered, incorporated in the fan. But that was very, very similar to the ending of 2. It's almost like they just needed to change the element. Instead of in the good guy factory, which was a fantastic setting for the second film, was go to where all the good guys are, so you can't tell where he might be. But then they just changed it and they put it in that where it's frenetic, it's high energy, there's a lot of machinery going on, it's very industrial feeling, especially with the lighting. And then, of course, drop him into the fan, he gets diced up by the fan, which was fantastic because his face gets slashed off and it looks great. So I always felt like Child's Play 3 was a bit of a rehash of 2, and they took elements from 2 and just redid them. Some forced drama with the military academy, bring in a love interest for Andy because Andy's growing up, give him something to fight for, and then of course Tyler in order to ensure that Chucky's reign of terror is stopped. But yeah, it was rough. These things stick out like sore thumbs because you at that point in time you really couldn't take it. 1991, you really couldn't take it in a further direction. Okay, until eventually we got around to, I would say, Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, which really expanded in the mythos because Mancini was finally able to do what he wanted to do. And because at the time that Child's Play 3 was made, there were still some pretty severe restrictions on Mancini as far as what he could pull off in the film, where the script could go. There were a lot of elements in that script that eventually wound up in the original Child's Play 3 script that eventually wound up in Curse of Chucky and Cult of Chucky, which was the whole him partitioning his soul out to multiple dolls. That was supposed to be in Child's Play 3 as the big element of Child's Play 3, but that obviously didn't work, and it was budgetary restrictions. So that had to hold off until eventually Curse of Chucky, Cult of Chucky came out when, Fiona Dourif, Brad Dourif's daughter, joined the fun. And she is amazing. I was sitting there talking with a friend about Fiona Dourif and how after watching Dirk Gently, I'm just in love with Fiona Dourif. She's just absolutely amazing. She's fantastic. I'm just the biggest, one of the biggest, a big crush. I have a big crush. I'm kind of going up, but yeah, big crush on Fiona Dourif. And I love her work in the Child's Play franchise and of course in Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency and a number of the horror films that she's done. She's always been fantastic. Denova 28 says the whole doll having doll babies was bizarre. It got very, very bizarre. It absolutely did. It did. Paracord Princess says, wait, the military guy has a conversation with a doll and wants to give it a haircut. He finds it, and of course he's inanimate, and he puts it in the barber chair, and he's going to shave its hair. He's like that. They that whole sequence, and only Andy Robinson could sell that moment. Andy was fantastic. He's just great. The way he brings a character to life is so much fun with the energy and the nuance that he has. We loved him back when he in Hellraiser, the original Hellraiser, when he played Kirsty's dad. When he played Frank Cotton, and then you've got him as Garrick. And of course, he's been in a number of things. Although he's a legendary career, but you think of his biggest roles. I love what he brought, even for such a small role, just like a character role that a guy that gets axed. Ostensibly, his character was the teacher character from the second film. So Mrs. Kettleman. So that's essentially the role he was playing. Have encounter with Chucky, bit of tension leading up, and then turn the tables because you bring up the character like Mrs. Kettleman was a mean-spirited teacher that treated the children poorly and treated Andy poorly, and then locked him in the closet and shit like that. And then you got him. The way he's set up the whole, now you're going to be bald and cut all your hair off. And I get some sort of sadistic pleasure out of doing this. And then he does it with the doll and the doll ends up killing him. So even the character elements translated across almost identically, This is essentially what I got from, but fortunately they put the money where it was supposed to go. And that was into the doll itself, the articulation, the micro expressions, everything they needed to convey what Brad Dourif was doing in the sound booth was absolutely amazing. And in Child's Play 3, they spare no expense. That shit was fucking cool, and it looked great. So, and it just keeps getting better. Now, I think in Bride and Seed, he starts getting a little kind of plasticky looking, kind of return back to the plastic elements, which still look good and still, excellently articulated. But then again, I think it's in Curse it's in Curse and Cult that I think it gets really, really good. Really fantastic shit in those films. So, but yeah, Mancini knows where to put the money. And the money right here, and I think in this production went directly where it's supposed to go, and that was in the doll itself. Because that's what keeps it alive. That's what keeps it alive. But here's the big question that I want to ask you guys. Horcrux Chucky, absolutely, yes. This is and hey, Raven Darkstar, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. And enjoy your new membership that was gifted by NANA. So of the original 3, the original trilogy, where they could have ended it. They could have ended that with Chucky falling into the industrial fan, gets sliced out, just discorporated, all the pieces going all over the place. He's dead. They could have ended it there, decided to continue it. But of the original trilogy, Child's Play 1, 2, and 3, the apartment, the school, and then, of course, the military academy. Which do you think is the best? The best of the original trilogy. So I'm very curious what you think is the best entry in the original 3. Not Bride, not Seed, not Curse, not Cult, even though those movies stand on their own really, really strongly. But of the original trilogy, from 88 to 91, what do you think is the best entry in the Child's Play original trilogy? Let me know down in the comments below, of course, at weekinhorror@gmail.com. Love to hear what you think. Travis Brown says, OG Child's Play. OG Child's Play was fucking scary. The battery scene, after he gets immolated and he's stalking down the hallway after Andy, there were some fucking amazing moments in that film that were, at the time, 88, I was 8 years old, fucking terrifying. Absolutely. The head spin around, that's iconic. Iconic. Denova28 says Child's Play 1. Absolutely. Tesla Radio, good to see you, bud. Thanks so much for being here. Says I would have to go with 2. 2 rocks. 2 was exceptionally well done. The mother gets committed. Kid goes into foster care. Chucky's tracking him down to his, plus they had the additional one. I love that sequence when he's kind of like, it was supposed to be a new good guy doll, but he takes his place. He's like, hi, I'm, and then he glances like he's thinking of the names, like he couldn't remember the name. I love that moment. Oh, Brave Dark says scary. I laughed my ass off. I thought that the OG Child's Play had some scary freaking moments in it. I'm just gonna say scary. Insane Angel says the first one scared the hell out of me. One, just because it was a fairly original concept. Other evil dolls had been done, but there have been other evil dolls, but not to this extent, where the doll is alive. Not to this extent. So Dolls was another film that came out. Then you had movies like Dolly Dearest, which came out in the early 90s. And other films have been done like that, but not to the extent where the slasher is a doll itself, where we have the tropes of a slasher film, and then the villain is like the physical doll that can walk and that can articulate like a friggin' human being. So yes, it definitely turned the concept on its head and made it into something really, really awesome. Chunky doesn't scare me. I'll tell you what. Extra J says I need to watch 1 through 3 again. It's been a long time. I remember liking 2. 2 was good. 2 was really good. And Ronan Nola Sam said 1 because of the original concept. Absolutely. I knew it was probably going to come down to a tie between 1 and 2, but I'm really curious. Definitely, you out there listening, let me know, or let us know here at Week in Horror. What do you think was the best entry in the first 3, the original trilogy of Child's Play? Love to hear what y'all think. Insane Angel says I was so scared that I threw away my My Buddy doll. My Buddy, I remember that. The original My Buddy doll commercials. Absolutely. Exceptionally average. Oh, definitely. All right. So that was Child's Play 3. Let's move on to our next one, which this one, we're going to take the energy down a little bit, a little less frenetic, but no less decent, because I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I like films especially films like this that take a genre and go cerebral on it in more of the ways than one. You'll understand. Let's check out this released August 31st, 2018. So let's check this out. The Dark. Let's check out this trailer.
So you like scary stories, do you? This is what you're looking for.
What's your
favorite thing I like about those stories? It's not me up in those woods, running for my life. Not me being torn to pieces for my very own eyes.
I stayed under the blanket the entire time. I swear to God, I stayed under the blanket. I'm Alex. These woods are cursed, you know. There's this monster that roams around hungry for human flesh. It used to be, you know, like you and me. Then something bad happened to it. So you believe in monsters? Yeah, me too. How did it feel? Like I just wanted him to go away. She's the monster. She's gonna rip you to pieces. Mina, I don't want to hurt you. Mina?
Somebody help!
I'm not gonna let anyone hurt you ever again, okay?
So that was the trailer for The Dark. And good to see you, Colin, definitely not Cromwell, who just popped in the chat. Good to see you, bud. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Yes, that lip smacking, absolutely. So that was The Dark. So a horror film directed by Justin P. Lang and written by Justin P. Lang, starring Nadia Alexander as the titular Mina, Toby Nichols and Carl Markovix. So the film follows a young girl who lives in the woods and is apparently it was literally undead, who's an undead, but a different kind of undead, is able to talk and converse and, you know, basically living out there, but is undead herself, feeding off of the people who trespass into her domain, eating them until she comes across an abused blind boy, played excellently by Toby Nichols, who during production was actually blind when he had the prosthetic effects on his face, and the director took that step because it helped to improve the bond, almost parental, almost symbiotic, almost parental bond between Nadia and Toby, which I thought was an excellent choice. And so the film follows the disappearance of the kid and the murder of his abuser at the hands of Mina. And then, of course, as people come in to try and figure out what's going on, the two of them, their newly forged relationship is then threatened, and Mina has to protect him from those who would try and take him away and possibly destroy her. It's a fantastic. I love this particular film, not only for its atmosphere, for its brooding, cerebral atmosphere, and the way it conveys the concept of isolation, of forced isolation and chosen isolation, and the idea that that when we're faced with the traumas that we have, we inevitably have to deal with them. We can either stagnate and stay in one place, or we must deal with them. And how sometimes, despite these tragedies, our bodies or our minds just, you know, push us to go through and to stay alive. Which ostensibly is what's conveyed here, is that Mina, being the not all undead can't speak, jail, vampires and licks, for example. Agreed, but not like a zombie. Like she's not your typical zombie in that respect. In fact, it's not the fact that she, like, you know, can use tools, she can murder people, and she eats them. You know, she's some form of undead or ghoul, maybe. It's hard to describe what exactly she is. So akin to like Warm Bodies, where those zombies actually had thoughts. They were just kind of like trapped in their bodies, and then like the humanity brings them back. In this one, everything about it is dark except the cinematography. Yes, it was a very, very dark film, and I enjoyed not only the acting was superb, but I loved the writing and where the writing took these characters, and it explored these avenues of the, you know, what happens to us in the face of terrifying trauma, and how we internalize these, and how we can never get rid of them, but we can compartmentalize them and use them to grow beyond that. Use the strength it gives us. So it's a not only an undead movie, like a movie about an undead girl that's out there in the woods, like eating people and shit, like, you know, like axe murdering people and eating them, but it's also a movie about healing, because each one of our characters, each one of our primary characters is faced with unspeakable abuse. So the young boy who's been blinded by his abuser and is being taken out there. Ostensibly, he was being taken out to the old house to be murdered. So, you know, the guy was going to do away with him. And then you have Mina, who was murdered by her abuser, by her abusive stepfather, and then unceremoniously buried in the freaking woods, where she inexplicably comes back. You know, digs herself out of her own shallow grave, and then comes. It sounds like very much like she could be a ghoul. It's entirely possible. And then proceeds to, you know, live out there in the woods, you know, eating whoever she comes across, until she comes across this young boy and begins to rediscover her humanity. And through that discovery and her ability to heal, she herself is able to slowly but surely come back from the shell of a person that she was. So you see how the trauma, you know, how the process of trauma of facing it, internalizing it, compartmentalizing it, and eventually healing from it informs the characters themselves. I thought it was a beautifully scripted drama with some excellent horror moments in it that I thought were, you know, because Mina goes from straight up predatory to this, you know, protective, almost mama bear relationship. And I loved the arc between both of their characters. How even despite the abuse, despite still being alive, that her newfound friend, despite being blind, Alex has grown to a point where he understands what's happening, and that his understanding and his unwillingness to judge Mina for what she is, despite the you know, because he can't see her, but he knows what she does. He will not judge her for that, because she's able to do what he can't do, and that is essentially defend himself. And so they see in each other parts of themselves that are missing, and they each are able to grow beyond this. And I love the way this was shot so beautifully deep in the Canadian woods, where light and shadow are so important to a story like this to convey the growth of each individual. Because if you notice, as we progress through the film from Act 1 to Act 2 to Act 3, the lighting shifts just slightly as we move from the dilapidated house at the very, very beginning, when the guy brings him out. We got this dilapidated, abandoned house that is literally falling apart, ostensibly the personification of who Mina is. And as we move through each one, then we move to the areas where Mina is protecting Alex, and then things become more natural and things become more stable. And then we finally move into and then they finally break into the house towards the end, where they encounter the couple that almost kills them. And then they break into that area where things are getting a little bit better, until eventually we're able to heal. And the lighting gets a little bit more. We see a little bit more detail. Things are less hidden in shadow. Things are the gray lines are beginning to increase, as opposed to the stark, you know, darks and lights, which I thought was a brilliant decision from a lighting perspective, from a gaffing perspective, because it really helped to convey it. That's why I love shooting in the woods. Outdoor shots are always really, really difficult and really hard unless you have very, very competent lighting crew and a sound crew, because things can get kind of wonky shooting outdoors. So they did this beautifully. Sarcasm says, I can't help but wonder if this might be an unreliable narrator and she was just never dead or undead, but just lost her humanity to PTSD. I think that there's a corollary there. I do. Where trauma, PTSD, if you will, which is ostensibly trauma, can leave someone a shell of who they were. It almost seems to strip the identity, or even the humanity, or even the very identity out of a human being, where they're simply like almost an automaton or a zombie of themselves, just functioning, you know, walking through the world, no purpose, no sense of direction, simply reacting to the shit around them, very similar to a zombie. Okay, or to like the undead in this. Only she still has her thoughts, but she's trapped. She's locked into this state where she can either die, she's not alive, she can't die, and she's just progressively kind of degenerating as she just progresses through the world, until she finds that reason to live, to focus on, so that she can heal and then move on from that. So it's through dealing with the trauma, through having that support system, that we're able to progress beyond the apparent limitations of the trauma itself, which is why I thought this is such a fantastic movie that I know a lot of people will take a lot from. Very similar to The Babadook in dealing with grief, how grief changes us, how it haunts us, and eventually we never can get rid of it, but it will always be a part of us, but we can learn to live with it. Whereas in this one, the trauma will always be there, but you can get to a point where you can move on with your life, which is what Alex gives to Mina, and Mina in turn gives to Alex towards the end of the film, when Mina finally gets her life back and Alex finally finds some level of safety. But I absolutely adore this film. I thought there was so much that Justin Lang brought to it for such an early piece of work in his filmography. And Nadia Alexandra, okay, knocked it out of the fucking park. I thought she was phenomenal. I've seen her other stuff with The Sinner and 7 Seconds, which came out in 2018, and of course, Blame. She has done fantastic work, and she conveys, and at such a young age, she conveys Mina with a depth that I think goes way beyond, a depth of understanding of what the character is and why the character is the way she is, which I found to be really, really compelling. Both in her relationship with Mina and Alex. Even though Alex I felt was a little two-dimensional, but he was what was needed for the plot. Because the focus of the plot is Mina. So does what he needs. But I love their relationship. Their chemistry was fantastic. The bond that you see develop between the two was wonderful and organic. And of course, everybody around them kind of reacting in a way. There was another film that was very, very similar to this called The Wildling, which had Liv Tyler in it, which had Liv Tyler and Brad Dourif in it, and it was about these creatures that live out in the woods that are not human. They appear human, but eventually they go through their puberty and they turn into like these kind of like satyr-like creatures, like these, however. But there was a film very similar to that where we have that same kind of relationship between those who understand the plight of the hero, the plight of the main character, and will assist them through that and give them that support structure. So I found some parallels with that one, which I found were intriguing. But ultimately, The Dark is very, very unique. So I would say if you were to watch this one, I would say couple this movie with, I would say a double feature. Couple this movie with movies like The Wildling or movies like The Monster, which I think The Monster would make a fantastic companion piece to this film. And I would say watch The Monster first, then watch The Dark. So I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Mina was horribly abused by her mother's boyfriend. That's what made her a self-proclaimed monster. How we internalize the trauma, how as abuse begets abuse in that respect. Absolutely, it's all explored here and in gruesome detail. Especially when how we reconcile these things in our own minds. Mina's internal dialogue and her external dialogue reflect the repetition of damage that was done to her and done to her mom, the violence she saw, the violence she experienced, and of course, how she internalized that and crafted into what she is. So the whole breadth of it is explored here. So Tony Regime says, so it's Beauty and the Beast with genders reversed. I wouldn't go that far. I would say that The Dark is more an exploration of trauma. Very similar to the way The Babadook is an exploration of grief. But the elements are slightly different. Sorry, The Wildling right after The Dark. Sarcasm said Tubi started The Wildling right after The Dark. There you go. I didn't know that. Completely called it. So I will have to say that. But yeah, I would say those. And hey, Robert Biter, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. So woo, thanks whoever gifted memberships. That would probably be NANA, who has been rocking the gifted memberships all night long. Sarah Velez as well. Welcome to the Army of the Dead. So yes, but I thoroughly enjoyed The Dark. It was a wonderfully shot, beautifully lit, and crisply edited film that is an exploration of the darker aspects of trauma and how that trauma is internalized and eventually healed from with the assistance of others and with support systems around us, often those who themselves have experienced that trauma, because we need those people to identify with. And those people who can identify with us to find that common ground. And that's what's beautiful about this film. It is both horrific in many aspects, but a very, very beautiful film as well. So like I said, if you were going to double feature this one, watch The Wildling with The Dark or watch The Monster with the dark, because Zoe Kazan, Ella Ballington, magnificent in that film. So I would recommend those ones. But my question is for the audience: given that The Dark is kind of an alt undead film, not your classic, Romero or Russo kind of zombie film, but kind of like I'm saying alt zombie film, much like Warm Bodies. Okay, what do you think is the best alt zombie film or alt undead film? A film where it takes the undead concept or the zombie concept and turns it on its head, where it does something different, takes it in a new direction, utilizes it to convey not just some sort of failing of our society, but some form of narrative structure that really applies to us in a way that the undead normally wouldn't. Kind of like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, or like Warm Bodies. Let us know down in the comments below, or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com, what you think the best alt undead film is. Love to hear what you guys think. So let's see. Some mild parallels to Let the Right One In. I would say that as well. Absolutely. This is Sir Cap says this is the kind of deep psychological horror that I truly love the most. Absolutely, the ones that get in, deep, and talk about and really address things that we often don't like to address in real life. Ooh, sarcasm. Fido. Fucking A. Nice choice, sarcasm. Fido. You rock. Oh, I love that one. Fucking Billy Connolly. Oh, the legendary Billy Connolly. Carrie Ann Moss. Fuck yes. Absolutely. Fido was amazing. Definitely a turn on the undead. I fucking loved him. Not a goddamn line, and he was fucking amazing. Robert Biters is Shaun of the Dead, my feel-good movie. Love Shaun of the Dead. Absolutely. Love story with zombies. Need anything from the show? Cornetto. Oh, love it. But I love the iZombie series. iZombie. Very cool. Ooh, Casey Cooper brings up Dead Heat. Nice choice. Dead Heat. Fucking Joe Piscopo. Very cool. Joe Piscopo and Treat Williams, if I remember correctly. But Dead Heat, absolutely. Oh, good choices in there. Definitely let us know down in the comments what you think is the best alt undead film. What film you think was best that turned the genre on its head. So, Ronella Sam says, wasn't there a film with a girl who slowly rots over the course of the film? Yes, that movie was called Thanatomorphose. We actually talked about it here on the show. That was a gruesome little film. But there's the Thanatomorphose, but there is also Contracted and Contracted Phase 2. Contracted, where she contracts the zombie virus like an STD and eventually decays from the inside out, becoming a zombie, which is also pretty fucking gruesome. But Thanatomorphose was also really, really, gross. Really, really nasty. Ooh, Z Nation. Black Summer was a really, really good one. I really enjoyed that. Ooh, Operation Free Roll. Excellent choice. The Girl with All the Gifts. That was a good one. A good spin on it as well. A good spin on the zombie, on the undead narrative. Well done. Excellent selections in there. Excellent choices. Definitely. All right, let's move on to our last film of the night. This zany little piece. Absolutely. So released September 2nd. I can't believe it's going to be September already. How fucking crazy is that? Going to be September here shortly. We're almost done with August. Where does the time go? Released September 2nd, 1983. We have the film Mortuary. Let's check out this trailer.
You don't like to think about it, but it's something everybody needs. Why don't you decide now?
Hi, Christy.
Bill Paxton.
Weird too if I had Hank Andrews for my father. And on top of that, locking me up in a mortuary when I was a kid with dead bodies.
No kidding. Mother, what's wrong? Somebody was following me. Who? I don't know.
Do you suppose it could be your overactive imagination again?
I never used to sleep.
Stop gaslighting me.
My father was murdered.
He's got a crush on you.
Are you jealous?
That was a weird scene.
Nobody wants to date me. They all think I'm weird.
What's your excuse?
You are weird, Bill.
Being around you. Why do you do it?
Bill Paxton, enough said. Fuck yeah. Trying to get shut down because of the music.
A bunch of junk from the mortuary.
I want to find out what's going on.
With his black turtleneck.
Tell me the truth.
Maybe they got rid of my father. Now they're trying to make me think I'm crazy.
It just doesn't do you any good to be spooked up like this.
Are you sure that it wasn't just part of your nightmare?
Yes, I saw him.
Honey, you're dreaming, having a bad
God, there was someone out there. I saw him.
Give me the knife.
See, it's all over the place. It's really intriguing. This one was so weird.
Let me out of here, you crazy! You're probably glad he's dead because of.
That was a nasty slap. That was a hard slap.
You were trespassing and stealing.
I fucking love Bill Paxton.
To a good night's sleep and peace. Peace.
Get out of here before I embalm you.
All right, that was the trailer for Mortuary. Yes, which was essentially a very weird film, but yes, an American slasher film directed by Howard Avedis and written by Howard Avedis and starring Mary McDonough, David Wallace, Linda Day George, Christopher George, and rest in peace, bud, the legendary Bill Paxton, who brings his youthful, zany, manic energy that we loved him for in like movies like Weird Science. But yeah, fucking Bill Paxton, just he makes this film so ostensibly weird. The film follows a young woman who, while investigating the death of her father, exposes disturbing secrets surrounding the local mortuary. And this film goes all over the place. So obviously 1982, as we saw in the very first film, in like Incubus, like Satanism was a big talking point, everywhere, especially in America. Satanic panic, Satan is coming for your kids, blah blah blah. There's witchcraft all over the place, and of course, it was a trope that was overused, in my opinion, in horror films throughout. Just like everybody fucking wanted to jump on that bandwagon, utilize it to some effect. So we get like a ridiculous amount of portrayals of like Wicca rituals combined with satanic elements, usually informed by the media or misinformed by those who really didn't do their research well enough. Nowadays, we get really, really good ones, where we see the Wicca aspects to it. But back in the 80s, you didn't get any of those. So there's like, when you watch like the ritual sequence at the beginning of the film, there's like all these fucking elements all over the place that are just like, that doesn't belong to that. That's weird. And so people were just kind of like throwing it together because I don't think people really understood it. Not a lot of like screenwriters really understood it. They just wanted things that looked paganistic and, dark. So yeah, people lost their goddamn minds during that too. Yeah, Casey Cooper says D&D is satanic. I remember that. Mazes and Monsters, man. Mazes and Monsters. So this is definitely a kind of like weirdly energized 80s, like oddity from the 80s. I will admit, I love being taken back to the 80s roller rink because I remember those back in, growing up back in Southern California. Hey, Elizabeth S., good to see you. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Appreciate you popping in. Always good to see you. So, but Sir Kaz says it was slow, it was boring, it was poorly written, and looked like a made-for-TV until Act 3. Act 3 gets pretty friggin' intense. So, like, he tries to, trying to embalm her alive, and he goes completely off the fucking rails, and he's like the killer, and he's got his mom, like, induced, like, in the medical coma, like, it's fucking weird. So, it hits Act 3, and then all of a sudden, the shit finally gets real. Like, the shit just kind of blows up and is all over the fucking place, which I found to be really... the film itself was weird all over the place because I don't think, in my eyes, the film really didn't know what it wanted to be. You have this mystery surrounding the mortuary. You have this cult that's apparently conducting this group that's conducting these rituals. But it turns out that's not really the big thing going on here. The big thing going on here is Bill Paxton's character. Bill Paxton's character at the hands of his abusive father and working in the mortuary all his life has completely lost his cotton picking mind, and which is why it's kind of hinted at because he's weird, he's obnoxious, and that whole sequence when they encounter him at the cemetery, he's like, well, I'm just visiting my mom, and then he dances off into the fucking cemetery and he's like, and they just go like, haha, he's so weird. No, that's not just weird. That's fucking insane. This person is a madman. He is a crazy person. And it turns out that he is, because he's like murdering people all over the place. And yeah, there's so many red herrings in this film. I like the way it started. It started out like an intriguing mystery. The dad gets killed. The stepmother is there. You know, the daughter's having nightmares. And then her boyfriend is there as the hero. We get a little, you know, we have all the good elements for a really intriguing kind of slasher mystery being set up. But then it goes in all these weird directions and all these plot threads in order to kind of throw us off. And then the energy is up and it's down and it's up and it's down. And it's just, why? You know, it's like I said, the film feels like it doesn't know what it wants to be. And I would have loved to have seen if there was an original draft of the script here, because there seemed to be elements taken from different theme. I would say like they pulled elements they thought would look good and just kind of like cobbled them together into this kind of Frankenstein slasher film where eventually, you know, Bill Paxton winds up being the bad guy. Act 3, it finally kind of, which is what works against it. The film really doesn't find its footing until Act 3. When that's when the shit starts going down, when things start finally happening. We understand who the killer is, we understand what their goal is, and then we get into the gruesome shit about what's going on, you know, trying to embalm her alive and stuff like that. And then the final sequence where he's like got the bodies all propped up and he's like conducting Mozart to them, and you know, then the final jump scare where the mom comes up out of the chair. That's all classic slasher shit. All classic stuff that we've come to expect in the shit that we love the genre for. But getting there is such a goddamn slog, because I get it, they may have painted themselves into a corner because you don't want to convey that Bill Paxton is who the villain is, you know, too early. But then again, his weird behavior juxtaposed against everybody else, because you've got like the angry dad who's abusive, the guy who's running the mortuary. Then you've got the angry sheriff who seems like he may be in on it. And then you've got the mother, okay, or the stepmother, who's like, you didn't love him anyway. You probably were in on it. You know, like, was she in on it? Because she's being very, very defensive when she wasn't guilty, you know? So there's a lot of really weird stuff going on here that I think were like the very clunky red herrings that inevitably work against the film instead of working for the film. Very similar to the Incubus. With the Incubus, very clunky red herrings all over the place. Those red herrings have got to be smooth. They've got to be smooth, and they've got to allow the audience to question, not when you're faced with it, come to a determination right then and there. You've got to be, you know, go more Agatha Christie with that shit. Don't fucking go, you know, Sean, you know, Cunningham with that stuff. Don't go that direction. You know, try to smooth it in so that way they don't stick out like sore thumbs and we go like, what the hell are we watching? Because every time you try to establish one, that affects the energy because the audience is going to follow with it. So you got to make sure that you can get a nice way to go around instead of just going bam and just like dropping him in like boom, 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 boom. That's the problem with this one. It could have been good. I love 80s. I especially love, and I know all of you out there as well, I know you fucking love 80s Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton was legendary. Obviously, the only actor to have been killed by an alien, a predator, and the Terminator in his lifetime. The only actor to be killed by the big three. I loved the energy he brought to his early roles. That man loved acting so much. And everyone who ever worked with him, it's a shame I will never get to work with him, but everyone who worked with him said that there was one thing he loved, and that was acting. And he loved it so much that he would just bring everything that he could into a role. And you can see that, especially in his early works. In his early filmography, you've got movies like Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker, which is also called Night Warning. You've got Stripes. You've got Weird Science. You've got Streets of Fire. Fucking, you know, like the way the way he conveyed his physicality was always felt like on the edge of frenzy. And I always got this like crazy energy from Bill Paxton, even though his line delivery has always been fantastic, but he always brought that early. Then he kind of demurred in his later years. And so we got fantastic roles like Apollo 13, when he kind of like brought it down a little bit, focused that high energy. And then we get that in like, you know, movies like Apollo 13, in fucking Tombstone, in Twister. And then of course, but we'd still get hints of the Bill Paxton of old in movies like Frailty. Okay, so go back and watch Frailty if you haven't seen it. Fuck, that was such a goddamn good movie. Frailty was fucking amazing. Brain Dead. Frank and Jesse. We see that the early stuff. He never really let it go. He always brought that energy. Aliens 2. Okay, fucking Hudson. He brought there was that energy, and I love that he had that. He could move between the two of them, which is why he is such a fun actor to watch. Fucking The Abyss. Or sorry, fucking Titanic. Sorry, it was fucking James Cameron. Then you got like when he was in like Nightcrawler and oh god, Edge of Tomorrow. God, he was so fucking good. An iconic actor that we lost way too soon. But I love he is ostensibly what kind of saves this movie. His performance, his frenetic, crazy performance in that third act is ultimately what saves this film from obscurity. I know Mortuary is a little on the obscure side as far as an 80s slasher film goes, but it was Bill Paxton that ostensibly raised this thing up and gave it some sort of legs that I think keeps it alive. His willingness to go the distance with his characters is what saved this movie. Everyone else was just kind of like on par for what you'd expect, but Bill Paxton elevated it, despite how weird his character was. But fucking hell, he was goddamn great. Absolutely. Hey, B. Blanco, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Got some other ones. True Lies. Fuck, he was amazing in True Lies. U571, Brain Dead. Oh, God, he's so fucking game over, man. Oh, Mighty Joe Young. Commando. He was in Commando. Near Dark. I almost missed that one. Near Dark. Him and Lance Henriksen. Shit. Don't even get me fucking started. Yes, he was in the Dr. Demento Barnes and Barnes music video for Fish Heads. That was him. Hey, Eugene says he's popping in real quick to say hi. Good to see you, Eugene. I hope everything's going well. Sorry we missed you on this one, but hope everything is going swimmingly out there. Oh, God. We could go on all fucking night about the legendary filmography of one Bill Paxton. And like I said, if you are a Bill Paxton fan, definitely check out Mortuary. It's a competently shot, competently directed. As a slasher film, it's exactly where you expect it to go. It starts solid. It starts very intriguingly. Dad get with the bat and goes in the pool and then it kicks off into the mystery. Then things kind of go all over the place with the zany Satanism, Wicca/Satanism, and then of course the people coming after her, and is the mom involved, and is the dad involved in it? What turns out it's Bill Paxton. It's Bill Paxton all along. It's always been Bill Paxton. So yeah. Oh, Bill and Brad in an episode. Yeah, him. Yes, Bill Paxton and Brad Dourif in the one with the ice cream guy, the ice cream vendor. Yes, in that episode Tales from the Crypt, when he was like licking like sticks of butter, which was a weird character trait, but fucking man, he rocked it. He rocked it. Oh, we miss Bill Paxton. We miss Bill Paxton bad. There you go. Eugene Hawkins, he confirmed it. He has to draw the storyboards to the Week in Horror OnlyFans. Yes. Lots of things sticking out. So we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, we miss him so much. But like I said, Mortuary, not bad. It was Bill Paxton that saved this one solely on the... And which is weird, because if you imagine back in the 80s, back in 1983 when he shot this thing, because I think when it comes down to it, what was it? This was his his sixth film, because he did Crazy Mama. Then he was Eddie in Night Warning, Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker. Then he was in Stripes, Legendary Stripes, Reckless, Lords of Discipline, and then he did Mortuary. So he did 4 movies in 83. He was working his ass off. Reckless, Lords of Discipline, Mortuary, taking Tiger Mountain, and then in 84 he got The Terminator, which is what really put him out there. Then Weird Science, Chet Donnelly, bam, Bill Paxton has fucking arrived. Then he got Commando, Aliens, Near Dark, kicking ass, taking names. So, but early in his career, he's the one that salvaged this film. Is the only reason. So I would say go watch it just for the joy of early Bill Paxton. Now, this wasn't, of course, the only horror film that Bill Paxton did. He did a number of horror films because he was great in any fucking genre. It doesn't matter. Bill Paxton can work in any comedy, drama. It was like, Weird Science, Twister, Tombstone, Westerns, fucking action films, True Lies. You name it, the man could do anything. Anything at all. Fucking Aliens. Oh, God. Fucking Hudson, who finally found his fangs and was just like fucking killing everything. It was great. But what do you think? All of you out there, what do you think was the best Bill Paxton horror film? Now, I'm going to say, even though Bill Paxton really didn't like show his shit until like, the third act of Mortuary, I'm calling that a Bill Paxton horror film because the only reason that movie has legs is because of that man alone, because that man's performance and the dedication he brought to it. But he did a number of horror films. Butcher, Baker, Nightmare Maker, Aliens, Frailty, Mortuary. There were so many that he did, but I want to know what you think was the best Bill Paxton horror film. Let us know down in the comments below, or of course at weekinhorror@gmail.com here in the live chat. Love to hear the thoughts on this one because he has so many good ones. Oh wow, that is a lot of love for Aliens. NA, Aliens, Travis Brown, Aliens, Robert Biter, Aliens, Casey Cooper, Aliens. Lots of fucking love for fucking Hudson, man. Hudson, who went out like a goddamn boss. Went out like a fucking boss. He did. Well, I love Aliens. Always will. Cameron, fucking Michael Biehn, Sigourney Weaver. Come on. Fucking yeah. But, I will always love Aliens. I loved Bill Paxton in Frailty. Bill Paxton, Matthew McConaughey. I really love that one. I have a special place in my heart for Frailty because I got to screen that movie early on, and when I saw it, it blew me away. So I loved Frailty. Ronan LSA brings up Near Dark, fantastic, excellent. Perico Princess brings up Frailty, awesome. Yes, Frailty is so fucking good. Boxing Helena, Tony Regime, really. God, Frailty came out in 2001. He also directed that. And I think that was his directorial debut. Yeah, Frailty was his directorial debut. God, he was good in that one. Fuck, hell, he was solid. Extra J, Predator 2. Awesome. I love it. Predator 2, NA. How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit? You stole that shit, Hudson. Fucking love it. Joshua Lee with Predator 2. Got some Predator 2 love. Predator 2 or Aliens. Got a lot of love there. But he had a bunch. But definitely, you guys out there, let us know what you love, the best Bill Paxton horror film. Very, very curious. Let us know down in the comments below. Archangel, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here tonight. Hicks, the alternate reality Reese. Fucking A. Absolutely. Oh, fucking love it. All right. So, that being said, and Raven Darkstar, it is your favorite time of the show. You know what time it is. It is trivia time. That was for you, Raven Darkstar, because I know how much you love that air horn. So, it is trivia time. Yes, I have got the live chat up, and the first person in the live chat who gets the first person live chat who gets this answer correct, gets the correct answer to this trivia question, wins a special item from the Week in Horror store. Check out this store at our Teespring store. We have all kinds of stuff. All of our limited edition tees, all of the limited edition artwork we have. We have magnets, we have coffee cups, we have pint glasses, we got t-shirts galore, we got hoodies. The Week in Horror hoodie is bad freaking ass. So go check it out if you would like to see what kind of gear we have. But one of you out there will be the first to get this answer correctly, and you will get a special item from the store, a mystery item from the Week in Horror store. So get those Google fingers ready. Here we go. The trivia question tonight is, what is the name of the oldest identified haunted doll in America? What is the name of the oldest identified haunted doll in America? Let us know down in the comments below. Or let us know here in the live chat. The first person to get the correct answer to that gets themselves a special item from the Week in Horror store. I expect this to either come in quick or not, may take a moment. NA says, now I want a pint glass. Let me see. Okay. Oh, whoa. This came and started running in fast. So as the live stream caught up. So the very first person said Travis Brown said Annabelle. No, Travis Brown, it was not Annabelle. Sarcasm got that again for the third week in a row. Sarcasm dropped it with Robert. Robert the doll is the oldest identified haunted doll in America. Currently resides in a museum in Florida. But yes, Robert the Doll is far older than the Annabelle that the Warrens had collected. So Robert the Doll, the oldest identified haunted doll in America. Congratulations, Sarcasm. You can actually go and see Robert if you go to Florida, visit the museum, see Robert, and apparently you have to ask his permission before you take his picture or whatever you say. You ask him, and then take his picture, and then of course, if you don't, then Robert will haunt you and cause something. Apparently, that's the way the story goes. But I see that Sherry Tilly was right behind Sarcasm with Robert as well, Robert the Doll, and I see some Annabelles in there. Archangel said my ex. Yeah, it's a damn shame. Colin definitely Cromwell said Robert, absolutely, yeah. Chili tea. It's funny, Tesla Radio. Yes, Robert the Doll, the oldest one. Congratulations to Sarcasm for the third week in a row. Sarcasm has won an item. So Travis Brown, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Well, Travis has pretty much won like everything from the store. So virtually everything from the store. So I will say that maybe he's giving people a break. But yeah, congratulations to Sarcasm for the third win in a row. Well done. We will get that prize printed out to you and shipped out as soon as possible. Thank you very, very much for participating. Oh man, and that Horror Fans is going to close out another episode of the Week in Horror podcast. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. We truly hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, smash those like and subscribe buttons and be sure to hit that bell so you never miss a future episode. Join us next week when we look back at the gruesomely gory STD zombie sequel, Contracted Phase 2. It's a nasty one. The Killer Kid remake come out and play, millennial survivalism in Alive, and the 80s urban legend anthology horror Nightmares. Be sure to check out Josh Olsen's store at badsamurai.store. He does all the awesome artwork you see splattered all over our merchandise, which you can find over at Teespring. For more from Week in Horror, check out all the bloody links that are down in the description. Follow us on the socials for your daily splatter, your daily horror recommendation. Join our Discord for watch parties, big announcements, all kinds of behind-the-scenes shenanigans with us, the crew, and you can support the show through channel memberships here on YouTube. Thank you, NANA. Super chats, super thanks, PayPal, or even our Patreon, where if you join the higher tiers, you can do things like join us as a special guest for our Bloodbath debates, or hang out with us in our After Darks. So all kinds of cool stuff, behind-the-scenes fun with the cast and crew. Or even just support us for as little as $1 a month. $1 a month, you can help make this show possible. What are you all waiting for? Join us. As always, thank you all, every single one of you, for being the greatest audience a horror film podcast could possibly have. We love you all so much. And as always, we'll see you next week. Stay scared.